#SAfmBTH.
Taking your calls on 086 0002032 and your voice notes on 0614 104107. You can also drop me a tweet at Eldrin Simpier. So today we're in conversation with Professor Hangwelani Hope Magidimisha Chipungu, who is a professor of town and regional planning at UKZN and the SARCHI chair of inclusive cities, as we celebrate the professor for becoming the first black woman in the country to obtain full professorship in the discipline of town and regional planning. Following her achievement, Magidimisha Chipungu says she intends to spend the coming years mentoring more planners to become the best versions of themselves, including becoming full professors. Prof, congratulations, good afternoon, and thank you so much for making time for us.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me.
What does this moment represent for you?
This moment represents change and the new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like something I've been working towards for quite some time. So it didn't happen overnight. You guys are hearing about it now, but this is something that has been putting together a lot of work over years, and here we are. So now that we are here, then change has to happen, things have to happen differently. A sense of hope has been renewed for young planners, those who are interested to become academics.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, you can go ahead, Prof.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying while listening to you now, saying that we're finding out about this now, but this has been there has been work that has gone into getting to this particular moment. I'm reminded of Lionel Messi, who once said that it took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success. So speak to us about that particular process for you, coming to this particular point now where you are a professor.
Yeah, so obviously you need to obtain your highest qualification, which is a doctorate, your PhD, but doesn't end there. So you're going to have to decide whether you want to be an academic or not. But my journey in academia started way before actually getting my PhD, as early as my master's degree, where I started being interested in research and writing. So what entails really, it means for me to become a full professor, I would have written a lot of books and journal articles. I have to have a lot of students who have graduated, and this includes your doctoral students. And this will also include my contribution at the international level in my discipline. So I need to be someone who's standing internationally in my discipline. They need to know my work, cite my work. They need to have worked with me on a number of occasions. And this also at a national level. Also, I need to have made some contribution in my field. So it's a lot of small things, but you put them together.
Yeah.
It's not that easy, especially if you are a mom of 3 children.
And trying to balance all of that, because you need to play all of those roles, at least at one point, 100% of your time required to be a mother, 100% required to be being a professor, 100% required to being a confidant as well.
Exactly.
But then the other thing, Prof, is why, from your observation, do you think it has taken South Africa, at least, so long to get to a point where we have a professor who is a black woman, who is a professor in town and regional planning?
Yeah, you see, the history of South Africa in terms of education is well documented. So we all know that certain degrees could not be done by certain people. But I also think it's post-apartheid what most black scholars or Africans are focused on was on going to the municipalities, because that's where implementation and things were happening. And I think even the type of education was saying, when you finish, you're going to have to work as a city planner in the municipality and all that. But my approach to the field has been that, okay, now I need to be at the knowledge production if I want to deal with the issues around transport, spatial transformation. Now, you're going to have to spatial transform, in code, the mind before you can actually say, people, this is your space. This is a municipality, then you have to start spatial transforming. And this is partly the reason why we have not had make significant strides as far as social transformation is concerned, because the production of knowledge it's got very few black women on it. And those people, trust me, and this is not an attempt to say men are not making contribution, but I'm saying if you have more women, because women's needs are different in terms of how they use their space, you are most likely to get different results than you're getting. You can't continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, someone was actually saying a couple of years ago that even when it comes to architecture and the design, if you only have men around the table, there are certain things that they wouldn't be taking into consideration. For instance, when it comes to the installations of a flight of stairs that are transparent and you can see right through them. What if women are actually using that particular staircase? Would they feel comfortable at all? But what do you think a women's perspective is able to bring to town planning?
Oh, a lot. So part of what I do in my daily job, I'm a study chair for inclusive cities, and I spend a lot of my time trying to understand how inclusive are our cities. And I've realized that the part of the reason why our cities are not inclusive, especially for women and children, is because women are not hands-on in some of those projects. So a woman understands very well, and traditionally, that they are seen, and this is obviously it's a bit stereotyped, but that's the fact, that they are caregivers by nature. So they look after children, they look after elderly people. Of course, men do that, but women, it's well documented that they seem to be on the forefront, leading in terms of those caregivers, being caregivers. So now, if you are a caregiver and you are experienced, you know what you need in a space. So if you're going to design a stadium for soccer and you are expecting families to come, obviously, what does that mean for someone who got a child? What does that mean in terms of the bathroom? What does that mean in terms of accessibility of that space? What does that mean if someone is looking after someone who's living with disabilities? So the way in which we are conscious in terms of the way of being and the lifestyle and lived experience, it aren't really the same like the men have. So if we have more women, and this is not to say men, they shouldn't be part of it. No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we need the balance. We need both men and women together. But having one kind of gender is skewed and it distorts the picture.
What would you say the priorities for South Africa's young democracy? Perhaps some would argue not so young anymore, considering that next year we'll be turning 30 and celebrating our democracy. But what would you think we need to take into consideration and prioritize right now as we move into cities of the 21st century, the 22nd century as well, when it comes to town planning and all of that needs to be taken into consideration?
I'm of the view that we need to prioritize what I consider to be called land reform. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of what we've seen happening over the years, where the majority of South Africans are actually fighting very hard day in and day out to find their stake within the urban environment or within cities. And because they cannot afford land and there's no land strategically located for them to be able to find their state within cities, then it becomes very difficult. And hence we are not spatially transforming. So if we want to transform, and here I'm talking about as a planner now, spatial transform, you cannot talk spatial transformation without a piece of land to transform into, if I can put it that way. And that's where I think we should start. Let's start focusing on trying to secure land which is strategically located for people, so that we know exactly where we're going to house our people and they can have access to a job and other opportunities that they need for their life and their children or family.
Prof, thank you so much for your time and all the best in your professorship as we create more knowledge around town and regional planning. That is Professor Hangwelani Hope Magidimisha Chipungu, who is a professor of town and regional planning at UKZN, and she has become South Africa's first black women to obtain a full professorship in the discipline of town and regional planning. Congratulations to her. It's 5 o'clock.